Hi everybody. This video today is going to be about why we as parents hold on too tight to our children, especially when I feel like there's a toxic situation that is in the middle of all of this. And this is going to be different for every parent. It may really hit home for some. It may not hit home as deep for others, but if you're watching this channel and you are resonating with these videos, it's because you are desperately trying to figure out how to not lose your children and to have a relationship with your children that's of any meaning, because you're literally watching it every day be taken away from you in little pieces, little piece at a time. You watch it just dissipate in front of you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Unfortunately, there's just no support out there for it right now. So I hope my videos are able to provide you with that support and feelings of not being alone, and can offer some guidance to help you manage through the parenting years of parental alienation. So here we go. When I left my ex, I had 3 little ones in tow, and the first couple of years were extremely challenging, and it was like living in the middle of a cyclone, hurricane. There was no end in sight. Half the time, I probably didn't even know what day of the week it was unless I had a calendar in front of me, but I got up and I did everything I needed to do on a daily basis, and I went to work and I took care of my kids, and I exhausted myself between all of it. And my main goal in the beginning years, because they were so little, was just to try and protect them the best that I was able to in that moment. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of support within the justice system for people that are, and children that are in these situations, and it's a very delicate situation to really try and navigate, if you think about it. So the fact that if you're in this and you're trying to figure things out and you have little ones, my heart goes out to you. It truly does, because I have been there, and it is a not easy place to be when you have toddlers and little ones that can't fully comprehend the situation that they're in and the things that are going on around them. But they have this conflict between the two people that they cherish. You are their world. They have a mom and they have a dad. Or they have 2 moms or they have 2 dads. Whatever the situation is, these are their 2 or people that mean the world to them. And their world has just been turned upside down, just as yours has. However, they're in a place of still growing and learning and absorbing the beliefs and patterns that they're going to carry with them the rest of their lives, unless they heal themselves and they work on changing these patterns when they get older. So it's a very delicate time for them. In addition to the fact that now their world is completely on this topsy-turvy spinny toy, because they're now going between 2 houses. There's this conflict between the 2 parents, and they're in the middle of it, and they don't even know how to navigate it. So as a parent, watching your children go through this and be in the middle of this storm is heart-wrenching. Your only job especially as a parent, especially as a mother, from my perspective, is to, you want to protect them, you want to shield them. Like, I did everything I could to try and not let them feel and carry all of this negativity that was around us. Like, it was just like this hurricane, tornado of negativity. And I literally would be like that mom with her arm trying to protect all three and letting it all hit me versus letting it get to them, because my job was to protect them. And when the seas are raging and the venom is spewing, you don't want that to affect your children. Um, so you hold on tight. You protect them the best that you can, and you keep them in this like little box almost when they're with you, to keep the rest of the world and the other parent from being able to damage them any more than you know that they're getting right now, just from the situations that they're in. And so that's why we hold on tight, because we feel that that is the only way that we can protect them and help them. And as they grow up and the situation doesn't change, it just, I mean, it changes based on how old they are, but the actual underlying situation doesn't change. The storm's there. So the more that, I'm trying to figure out how, like, the best way to word this, but as they get older, they've already been exposed. So the more you are willing to take the time, again, to look inward and heal yourself early on in the stages of the, divorce and alienation, the better off you are going to be able to manage through this. But if that's not something that you have the resources for, then read about it. There's so many books out there that you can read that will help you navigate some of these situations, and understanding how the other toxic parent operates by reading books about the type of person that they are. If they're a narcissist, if they're a psychopath, if they're, I don't know, sociopath, whatever that it is that you're trying, whoever they are that you're trying to co-parent with, try to understand where their incentives come from and their thought patterns and motives. There's books on it, and it can help you gain that understanding of why the other parent does what they do, which also helps you become less reactive, because you're understanding a little more that it's less about coming at you as much as it's them. So as you learn to let go and let them start to really experience some of the things that are going on between the households, or so for me, I was, I'm not going to say I enabled, because that's not the word, but I I feel like in some ways I ignored the situation at times, and my kids would come over and they could be upset or aggravated about something that was going on at Dad's, or Dad did something that made them upset, and I would kind of just help them like smooth it over and just be like, oh well, maybe he's just having a bad day, and I realized that that wasn't helping me or them, because I was just helping to smooth out the ruffles that Dad kept creating. And when they're little, that probably is, you're talking to them at their level. But as they get older, being able to kind of let them have a little of that exposure, more of the negative side of the toxic parent, um, can help them open their eyes. So, for instance, now if my kids come over, when my kids come over and they have something that happened that bothered them that happened with their father, then I help them recognize their feelings. They're like, man, that must really suck. I bet that, if that was me, that would make me feel this. How are you feeling about it? Um, and even if they don't respond or they don't know how to answer the question, you can help guide them, or you can just, you take the answer that they give you. 99% of the time I get, it's okay, and I know that that's just their survival answer. It's not that it really is okay to them. They just don't know how else to express it. And unfortunately, it took me a lot of years to come to this realization and start to accept and open up and let go of some of this protection that I was trying to give them. Because one, I wasn't actually protecting them. I thought I was, but all I was doing was draining myself and wearing myself out by trying to keep up this facade almost of not letting them be exposed. But in the reality, they're exposed every time they go over there. They are just going through their own rendition of exposure. It just isn't my exposure. So, in learning to let go and kind of let them start to experience the ups and downs and the lack of follow through or the lack of love that they're getting, it helps them to open up their eyes and realize where they are getting that love and support from, and where they are getting that the unconditional love that they're looking for. And it may not be something that they, again, sends that light bulb clicking in their head and they're like, oh, well, hold up, wait a minute. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's all about just planting the seeds along the way. It's helping them to understand their feelings, express their feelings, have open communication, and teaching them the positive ways and the right ways to communicate and and that it's okay to cry, that it's okay to be angry. It's just learning how to manage the anger, how to find outlets for that anger or frustration or sadness or whatever it may be, versus letting it all just bottle up inside. And going back, relating this back to previous posts, it's learning to not be reactive and allowing them to have their own journey in this phase of their life with the other parent. You can't control what's going to happen when they move out of the house. You can't control at that point. You really have no say, and now is the time to build the foundation of what you want possibly in the future with your children. And the more resistance that's there between you and the other parent, and the more resistance between you and them that continues to happen, the more likely they're not going to want to come back around, because it's just resistance. They're not feeling anything other than that it's a chore, that it's a negativity, that it's, draining for them. Whereas if you can allow them to now have a voice and let things go and let them start to find their own way while you're guiding them, you're only providing them the nuggets and the little seeds that they need along the way that will eventually help them down the road when they're ready to start doing their own healing evaluating their relationships, because if they're really deep in the trenches, it's going to take actually getting away from that other parent and having real actual space for them to start to realize some of the um, indiscretions and the inconsistencies that they thought were normal, that now that they're out in the world with other people, they realize is not. So it's a shift in your perception and your perspective on how and what your job and your long-term goal is with your children, and really taking the time to reflect on that and meditate or journal on it and see what comes up and what works for you is now. That now is the time to start doing all that. Wherever you are in the stage of raising your children, whether they're little or they're older like mine or they're even older, being that consistent light in their storm is what they're looking for. And the more that you're able to be that for them, the more you will see tides start to change and they will come back to you. I have faith in that. Infinite love and gratitude, and I will see you next week.